All right, lesson 1.4 is writing equations and formulas. All right, just like when we're solving, sometimes you'll have two variables in there. So for example, with the first one, we've got an x and a y. But what I'm actually looking to do is I want to solve this problem for y. So when I'm doing this problem and I'm solving it for y, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to isolate the y variable. Basically I'm going to get the y all by itself. So just like we've been solving these before, the equal sign works as our divider. So the very first thing, since this is what we want to be left with, we want to subtract 7x from both sides. Okay, so you subtract 7x. And remember, whatever I do on one side, I have to do exactly the same thing on the other side. So after I subtract that, I bring down the negative 3y equals, bring down the negative 7x, and add 8. And then the very last step to be able to get this y all by itself is to divide by a negative 3. And I divide the entire side by a negative 3. So I get y equals, and you should always check to make sure 7 won't go into negative 3 perfect, and 8 won't go into negative 3 evenly. So I'm just going to leave it negative 7x plus 8 all over negative 3. All right, let's go ahead and look at the next example. The next example is 7x plus 8y equals 17, and we're going to solve this variable for y. So just like we did before, equal sign is our divider, and we're going to isolate the y. In other words, we're going to get the y all by itself. So remember, the very first variable then that we need to get, or the problem we need to get rid of, is we need to subtract the 4x. And remember, we do it on each side of that dividing line. So those go away. Positive 4 and a negative 4 will cancel out. I get 8y equals negative 4x plus 17. And then in order to get the y, the only thing we're left with is an 8. So we have to divide by 8, and we divide by 8. So I get y equals negative 4x plus 17 all over 8. All right, the next question is a you try. So at this time, go ahead and pause your video and go ahead and solve this variable for y. Okay. All right, your final answer should have been y equals 3/5 x plus 3. And the reason we go ahead and divide this out is because 3 won't go into 5, but I will leave it as 3/5. 15 will divide by 5, and I'm left with 3. And anytime you can go ahead and reduce it to a whole number, would be a good idea to go ahead and do that. All right. Now, a lot of times you won't only be given variables with x and y. Sometimes you'll be given formulas, and I want you to solve for one of the indicated variables. So the next example says the formula of the perimeter of a rectangle is P equals 2L plus 2W. And in this problem, we're going to solve the problem for W. So just like we did before, the equal sign works as our divider. So since we're solving for W, we need to subtract the 2L first from both sides. So I get P minus 2L equals 2W. And then I still need to isolate that W, so I divide by 2. So I'm left with W equals P over 2 minus 2 divided by 2 gives me 1, so I'm left with just L. Should be your final answer.